As shocking new laws passed by Congress and executive orders implemented by the Obama administration ignore basic constitutional protections, broadening the government's right to spy on average American citizens, Big Brother is both using and distributing to local governments ever-increasing police state powers to snoop on us. The latest in this series of outlandish infringements upon our basic human rights is a recent ruling by the Federal Aviation Administration allowing local public safety and law enforcement agencies to operate unmanned surveillance drones here at home, virtually at will, and perhaps over your property. And no, this is not some conspiratorial paranoia dreamed up to spark the sale of guns and shelf-stable foods. The FAA itself has predicted that up to 30,000 of the surveillance drones would be filling American airspace by the end of this decade. In fact, Joseph Farah, the founder and CEO of WorldNet Daily, revealed to InfoWars talk host Alex Jones that one such drone flew at low altitude over his property, buzzing Farah as he was taking his dog for a walk on his family's secluded Northern Virginia property. Farah was able to spot the drone that was sent to intimidate him. According to Farah, it made a loud racket, like a lawnmower. But Lockheed Martin has demonstrated micro-drones that will soon be no larger than a maple seed and operate on the same aerodynamic principle. These tiny space invaders will be able to snoop indoors or out virtually unchallenged. The limits placed upon these operations are scant indeed. This new generation of airborne robots must fly beneath a 400-foot ceiling. They cannot soar beyond the sight of a ground operator, and for safety's sake, their operation is forbidden near airports. Any other use is considered fair game. Speaking of fair game, that's just what these unmanned spy planes may become should they fly within range of an armed citizen's well-aimed 10-gauge airburst. Fox News contributors Charles Krauthammer and Judge Anthony Napolitano have already speculated on the hero status that may be accorded to the first American hunter to reach his spy plane bag limit. Quack. When that happens, will authorities start to arm their domestic drones? To protect their drones, would they fire on U.S. citizens in, quote, self-defense, unquote? Just how far could this surveillance escalation go? For that matter, since we're talking about the so-called Patriot Act here, which would be considered more patriotic? To shoot down Constitution-usurping drones by our windows, or for the government to shoot us down? While both Krauthammer and Judge Napolitano came up short of recommending armed intervention by offended homeowners, their on-air commentaries reflected a growing impatience with a government that demands the right to poke and probe into the darkest corners of every citizen's life, whether it's investigating our use of internet search engines, compiling personal data from our Facebook profiles, or collecting racy TSA X-ray scans. Uncle Sam wants to know us in the nearly biblical sense. Many Americans have had enough of that carnal knowledge. So what will it take to send a message to Washington that they cannot ignore? A message that proclaims our liberty is not for sale and our guns are not up for grabs. Maybe all it will take is an honest explanation. Gee, officer, that looked just like a mallard to me.